The time has finally come to begin our second annual Nebraska Positional Breakdown Series this year with advanced statistics, graphics, film, and so much more. And we got to start things off the right way. Talking about the Husker quarterbacks, I will be making my predictions on Dylan Raiola's season, my assessment of his game, the pros, the cons, what he needs to work on, his ceiling and floor, and so much more. And then we're going to talk about Jalyn Gramstad, Davila, TJ Lateef, and all the other quarterbacks in this room, what you can expect from them in 2025, again, with advanced statistics and graphics for every single one. So I put a lot of work into this video, and all of the positional breakdown videos you're going to see going forward. Please hit that like button if you're fired up, and it would make my day. For more daily Nebraska football content, if you're a diehard Husker fan, hit that subscribe button. Join the family of over 10,000 strong. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's just dive into it. Talking about Nebraska's quarterback room in 2025. For the first time in a long time, the Huskers enter a season with a borderline elite quarterback in Dylan Raiola. And also, they don't have a quarterback battle. He is the guy going into the fall. No doubt about it. No questions around it. Dylan will be Nebraska's starting quarterback, and they're hoping he can be one of the best in America. So let's just start things off with my assessment of his game last season. Of course, in 2024, as a true freshman, he threw for a little bit under 3,000 yards, had a completion percentage of 67%, which is one of the better in the Big Ten. But obviously, you see the touchdown to interception ratio. That's really what killed his statistics. 13 touchdowns on the year, 11 interceptions. And for that reason, I give him a solid B grade. Now, there's a couple things that Dylan Raiola really did well at in 2024. And there's a couple things that he really struggled with. He was phenomenal in the first couple of games, whether that was against UTEP, Colorado, Northern Iowa, even that Illinois game, he played very well. But as the season progressed, he got banged up, obviously had a shoulder injury, had a little bit of an ankle injury going into the back half of the year, and that really showed up on his film. He was hesitant in the pocket. He really wasn't willing to get outside to make a play with his legs. He wasn't willing to even get outside the pocket to make a throw. So that really limited his creative ability, which is one of the best parts of his game out of high school. Really, his deep ball accuracy got worse as the season progressed. We talk about this all the time on the channel. That's what really was shocking about Dylan Raiola, was his arm strength's always been there. Obviously, he has a great build on him. He was a former 5-star recruit. We know that he has the potential to be a potential Heisman guy, to be a first-round draft pick. But in his high school film, his deep ball actually was just phenomenal. He was always hitting guys after 40, 50 yards down the field. In 2024, as a true freshman, we just didn't see that. He didn't have any touch on that football. You know, there was a couple times where Nebraska's Jalen Lloyd would be wide open, whether that was in that Iowa game, and he absolutely overthrew him. There was a big play in the Illinois game from last year where Luke Lindenmeyer was on a post route. They would have won the football game if Dylan threw him, in the numbers, and he completely overthrew him, right? So there were a couple times where Dylan just completely missed his man, and that brings us to the pros and the cons of Dylan Raiola's game. Now, the pros are pretty easy. Obviously, the pocket presence, I think, was really, really phenomenal as a true freshman. You don't usually see that. He did not take very many sacks. He was smart. He threw the ball away when needed. That was great as a true freshman. That's something that really doesn't develop until the back half of your college career. So that's something that's going to only get better for him as his career progresses. He was great in early downs. From an efficiency standpoint, he was one of the best early down quarterbacks, not only in the Big Ten, but in the country. Now, unfortunately, we can't say the same thing about late downs. He was not very good on third and fourth down conversions, which is why Nebraska really wasn't successful in those close games. Really high potential. Obviously, it's a pro with him being a former 5-star. I mean, that's just very evident. His work ethic's one of the best in the country, so he's going to continue to get better. Arm strength's one of the best in the country. He has a really good build on him. Again, he's 6'3". He's kind of a thicker built quarterback. Obviously, he lost a little bit of weight, but he's still going to be a little thicker, and that's a good thing because that means he's not going to get injured as much as some of these skinnier quarterbacks like we've seen from Nebraska in the past, whether that's Adrian Martinez or Luke McCaffrey. Short yard accuracy was pretty good last year, and then consistency is something that I think is really underrated about Dylan. You know, the thing in the past about Nebraska's quarterback play has been, while Adrian Martinez was a great quarterback for Nebraska, he just wasn't consistent. He'd have a great game against Northwestern one week, and then you see him against Ohio State, and he's throwing a couple interceptions. Dylan, what you see is what you get. You get that from him every single week, so I think that's pretty underrated about his game. But, going on to Dylan's cons, the decision-making obviously just really was not good as the season progressed. Those 11 interceptions, just really, really hindered the team. The UCLA game was one of his worst performances on the year. He threw multiple interceptions where he just didn't read the defense at a high level, right? So I don't think his decision making was really up there. I mean, the completion percentage was pretty good, but from an interception standpoint, that's just way too much. So that's why it's on the con category. Under pressure, he statistically was one of the worst quarterbacks in the Big Ten under pressure. He absolutely panicked, and he just, as the year progressed, he was not comfortable stepping up. He wasn't comfortable making a play outside the pocket. So usually under pressure, that's when you would see some of these bad decisions. Hopefully he can improve that. Mechanics are something, again, he kind of struggles with his motion, with just overall his throwing motion. Hopefully he can continue to develop that with Jeff Christensen this offseason. Deep ball accuracy, something that I'm a little bit worried about. Obviously, we just talked about. And then mobility. Hopefully you can see that improve from Dylan in 2025. So those are the pros and the cons. Let's get to Dylan's ceiling. What you can expect from him if everything goes right. So again, Dylan obviously is a 5-star quarterback. I think he's going to take a big jump. I think he's going to be a top 20 quarterback, but this is if literally everything goes right. If he reaches the potential in year 2 that we know he can, I think he can throw for a little bit over 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and 70% completion percentage, and potentially could be a Heisman semifinalist. Now, again, I know some people are going to say, Wilson, this is absurd. There's no way this is going to happen. This is if everything goes right. Okay, I truly believe Dylan has the upside in year 2 to be a Heisman semifinalist and potentially win it in year 3. But again, this is if literally everything goes right. This is maybe not the most realistic thing in the world, but it is a slight possibility. Now, let's go to the floor. If everything goes wrong for Dylan, which is also a possibility, what is that going to look like? Well, this is what you can expect from Dylan if he has the year that hopefully a lot of us are dreading. Only 2,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, back in the double digits, and only 62 percentage from the field. So this is, again, if everything goes wrong, he continues to kind of get banged up a little bit. The deep ball accuracy is not improved. He struggles under Dana Holgerson's new offense. That's, in my opinion, the floor for Dylan Raiola. Is that going to happen? Probably not. Now, what's my honest expectation for Dylan? Okay, I think he's going to throw a little bit over 3,000 yards. Obviously, we know this Dana Holgerson offense is going to be very fast-paced. It's going to be passing most of the time, right? It's going to be probably 60-40%. We're going to see passing 60% of the time. I think Dylan's going to be pretty solidly a top 20 quarterback in America. I could see him get up there to be top 10. But unfortunately, I'm just not going to sit here and say he's going to be top 5. I don't think he's going to take that big jump to be that Heisman semifinalist just yet. I think we're going to see that jump potentially in year 3. But I think with all the work he's putting in the offseason, he knows he needs to get better. He's working with Jeff Christensen. He's going to have a really good connection with these new wide receivers for the Huskers. I think he's going to be a top, I'm just going to say this, I think he's going to be top 15 quarterback in America. I think he's going to be top 4 in the Big Ten, only second to potentially, I think Luke Altmaier maybe going to be a little bit ahead of him, Fernando Mendoza, maybe even Dante Moore at Oregon, and then Drew Aller. Those are the guys who I think are going to be ahead of him in the conference. So that's my assessment on Dylan Raiola. I think he's going to be top 15 quarterback, but those are the things he needs to really work on. Deep ball accuracy. He needs to continue to develop his pocket presence while it was already really, really good, and continue to get better. And hopefully his leadership also takes a big step forward, because that's something that's going to be crucial for him next season. All right, let's go to Nebraska's backup as it stands. This is Jalyn Gramstad, final graduate for the Huskers. He's going into his 6th year in college. He transferred in from NIIA. I mean, he was just an absolutely legendary player. He won a national championship there. He won a state title back in high school. Say what you want about Jalyn Gramstad. He's not the most athletic quarterback in the world. He doesn't have the biggest arm. He obviously is only 6 foot tall. That might be at best. I think he probably is a little bit under that. So Jalyn Gramstad, like, he doesn't impress you as a quarterback, but he's a winner. And he's a guy that you just need on your football team, because he's pretty much a coach on the sideline. He's just an extra coach for the Huskers. So Jalyn Gramstad, the coaching staff loves him. Obviously, only threw for 11 yards last year, played in only 1 game, but that doesn't even take into account all of the yards he threw for his NIIA squad back in the day. So I like Jalyn Gramstad's game. Again, he can run a little bit. He's kind of like a Russell Wilson, right? Very undersized. But again, he can get outside the pocket. He can make plays. He's not necessarily a game manager. I don't know if Jalyn Gramstad's our backup quarterback when the season rolls around. I believe it's going to be the next guy we talk about. But if he were to get on the field, I am very confident that he knows the playbook at a high level. He's going to go out there and execute, and he's not going to look a fool like some of these past Nebraska backup quarterbacks. So I'm not very high on Jalyn Gramstad. I don't think he's going to give Dylan a run for his money by any means. If Jalyn Gramstad gets in the game, he's not going to outduel the quarterback. He's just not. Like, it would be a pretty bad situation if Gramstad ever got in for meaningful snaps. But with his ability to get outside the pocket, and with his ability to be a kind of a coach on the sideline, I really kind of like adding Jalyn Gramstad as our backup. So good second-year player with the Huskers, last year of eligibility. And then after this year, he's probably going to be with the team again as a coach. So like Jalyn Gramstad, but I don't actually think he's going to be the backup when the actual season rolls around. As of right now, he is. I think the backup is going to be none other than Marcos Davila, second-year quarterback, transfer in from Purdue, former 4-star coming out of high school. He was the number 19 quarterback in his class. Very similar to Raiola. It's actually crazy. We reacted to his film a little bit while ago. He's 6'3", he's 235 pounds, so pretty much identical measurables. But when you watch his film, you're pinching yourself a little bit. You're saying, is this Dylan Raiola again? Again, great deep ball accuracy, obviously thicker build on him. He can get outside the pocket. He can step up and make big plays, right? He can have really, really good accuracy, whether that's in or outside the numbers. He has good touch on the football. He's a leader. Marcos Davila, and he checks a lot of boxes. Now, in his first year with Purdue was just a train wreck, right? They were awful last year. I think they only won 2 games when it was all said and done. He obviously did not play. He said, I'm going to get out of here. There's no reason why I should be here anymore. Transferred over to Nebraska. A lot of people were questioning why he would transfer here. I think he's trusting the development. He trusts Dana Holgorsen. He trusts Glenn Thomas. He trusts Matt Rhule. And he says, hey, I'm going to stay here for potentially 2 years. I'm going to be the backup, and I'm going to get handed the keys going to year 4, and I'm going to be the guy. So Marcos Davila, I just love his upside. He's a former 4-star recruit coming out of Texas. He's played some of the best players in America, but very similar to Raiola. The only thing I'll say about Marcos Davila, I did watch him for the spring game. His accuracy was suspect, very suspect. You saw everything else. You saw the traits, you saw the arm strength. His accuracy was bad. And I think reading Big Ten defenses is something that he struggles with. Obviously, it's hard to adjust when you're coming out of high school. He's a second-year player now at this point, but continuing to learn the playbook, learn Big Ten defenses, get up to the speed of the game. Hopefully, he's ready to go. But I think just from an upside standpoint, he is so much better as a quarterback upside-wise than Jalyn Gramstad. Jalyn Gramstad probably is better a little bit right now, but Jalyn Gramstad can't get any better. Marcos Davila, he might be right here, but his upside's through the roof. So it's going to be hard. I think if Marcos Davila starts to develop a little bit, he's going to absolutely be Nebraska's quarterback too. Then TJ Lateef, who's expected to redshirt for the Huskers this year, true freshman quarterback coming out of California. Once again, another 4-star recruit. He was an Elite 11 finalist, which was one of the best honors in America for a quarterback recruit. 6'2", 190. The thing about TJ that's really exciting, I expect him to play in a couple of games this year for Nebraska, whether that's in the Houston Christian game. I expect him to potentially play in the Akron game, which is week 2. We might even get in one more. TJ Lateef has a really, really high ceiling, right? He can get outside the pocket more than any other quarterback from Nebraska. He's a dual threat. He can make plays on his legs. He's fast. He's shifty. We haven't really seen that since Adrian Martinez, who was a past California recruit as well. So that's what really excites you about TJ Lateef, but he's another guy who's a straight winner, right? He led Orange Lutheran to be one of the better high school teams in America. They previously weren't very good until TJ Lateef showed up, and he started to win football games there. He was a very clutch performer. It felt like whenever they needed a big touchdown, TJ would come through. He's a very physical player. He's not afraid to take a tackle. Or there was a couple plays where he would tackle a defender. He'd make a bad interception from time to time, and he'd go up and hit stick the defender and say, hey, I'm mad about it. I'm going to go lay the boom on you. So that's what I like about TJ Lateef. He's a competitor. Now, what you can expect from him this year, hopefully, you can see some good snaps from him versus Akron, versus Houston Christian. I'm not going to be too harsh on him. I watched him the spring game. Again, he struggled, obviously, with learning Big Ten defenses, getting up to the speed of the game. Obviously, continuing to learn the film, learn the playbook, right, as you'd expect from a true freshman. The only thing I hope from TJ Lateef, I just really, really hope he can trust the process. That's the only thing I'm hoping for him. If he can sit here and understand that, hey, I'm not going to play this year or maybe next year, but hopefully going into year 3, I'm going to be the guy. If he can understand that, he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback. If he sits here and gets disgruntled and say, I'm going to transfer after year 1, it's just not going to work for him. You can't do that. You've got to trust the process and trust the coaching staff that originally recruited you. So TJ Lateef has a high upside. Hopefully we see him on the field a couple times this year. And then the last guy I'll talk about, Luke Longval. There's an outside chance we'll see him maybe 1 or 2 games. Again, former walk-on going into his junior year, 6'2", 210 pounds, transferred in from a community college not too long ago. Luke Longval, he's basically just kind of a sideline coach, right? That's what you expect from a walk-on quarterback, but they really like his accuracy. He honestly looked pretty good when I saw him in the spring game. He probably outperformed TJ Lateef and Jalyn Gramstad, so take that for what it's worth. But his accuracy is phenomenal, but overall, he's just a sideline coach, a guy who can just add some good energy to this team. I could see him in the Houston Christian game. I really could. That's when you could see him. But again, if you see him in any other game, oh my goodness, where you got to hit the red button, the alert button, the emergency button because something went horribly wrong. So overall, this is a really good Nebraska quarterback room. And I'll give it, obviously, at the end of the video, I'll give you guys my final grades for the quarterback room for all the position groups we talk about. Dylan, hopefully he can take that big jump forward. I think he's going to be top 15 quarterback in America. I like our depth. Again, I feel really good about Marcus Davila. I feel really good about Jalyn Gramstad. Even if TJ Lateef gets in the game in, small snaps, I really like to see him. So I feel good about the depth. I'm going to give this quarterback room an A-. That's probably the highest grade we've seen from Nebraska in the quarterback room in like well over a decade. Just because we have Dylan. And Dylan, if he can take that step forward, it's going to be really hard to have anything less than an A or A- quarterback room. So that's what I'm going to give this unit. Let me know what you're thinking. Am I a little too bullish on it? Maybe it should be lower. Maybe it should be a B. Let me know in the comment section. Hey, if you made this far in the video, hit that like button and subscribe. Would really, really help me out. And as always, folks, go Big Red, go Emmett, roll, and see you in the next one.